Exit back here. You can also use the door. Some of you that you came in, most of you know these things. Depending on your emergency, we have bathrooms over here. Use whichever one makes you feel the prettiest. This is really exciting. I'm stoked to be here. We have an awesome show. Let's just thank DSI for hosting this comedy event. Yeah. Very sweet. I'm going to get out of the way. And the reason why you're all here, my Fantasy Wife podcast. Give it up for them, you guys. They're awesome.
Welcome, listeners, to My Fantasy Wife, the weekly sports meets comedy meets marriage podcast, where a husband and wife discuss sports, fantasy leagues, and their impact on pop culture and relationships, including their own. I'm the wife, comedian Blair Postman.
Hey, Blair.
I'm joined by my husband and sports stat expert, Gary Haynes. Woo! Also on board are hot topics and social media maven, comedian and pet nurse Drew Harrison. Woo! And rounding things out, sound engineer, comedian, and man about town, Mr. Louis Bishop.
Oh, hey, guys. Jesus, that's loud. Sorry.
Back there in the booth. Guys, this week's episode is number 105, and we are taping in front of a live audience as part of the North Carolina Comedy Arts Festival at DSI Theater. Woo! So, to never miss our weekly episodes, extras, and more, subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at My Fantasy Wife Podcast, Twitter at My Fant Wife, and support the podcast by liking and rating us in iTunes. Miss any of that? Just go to our website, myfantasywife.com, with links to everything. Gary?
Yes, Blair.
Tell us about this week's sponsor.
Okay, Blair. Well, after months of beating the bushes looking for new blood and sponsorship, I am proud and pleased to announce that this week's sponsor is still Podhive.
Woohoo!
Podhive.com matches small to mid-sized podcasts and advertisers. Podcasts get matched with advertisers who might otherwise miss them. Advertisers get heard by listeners of cool podcasts like this one, who would be their perfect customers. It's an audio sponsorship love connection. Go to podhive.com for more information. That's podhive.com.
All right, everyone, let's give ourselves a big round of applause for doing the live podcast recording here tonight. Very exciting stuff. And just so everybody at home knows, Mr. Bishop is far away in a sound booth at the back of the theater. Hi, Mr. Bishop.
Hi, how are you? I got to get my sound right, you know?
Yeah.
I got you guys to sound right. I just want to be, like, so booming and so... That sounds good right there,
Voice
right?
of God.
That sounds good.
Nice.
Lower?
Nice.
Better? Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you lonely?
No, it's a bit farther than the studio.
Gary's a little upset.
Because normally I could touch you if I needed to.
Right.
Right. And he can look into your pale blue eyes.
Right, but...
Yeah, not today.
Not today. I'll send you a text message or something.
All right, nice.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll Snapchat you.
One is the loneliest number that you ever... Okay.
I'm gonna soldier on.
Oh, good job, baby. Hey, Drew.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good. I
You-
was hoping we were gonna not do the singing thing.
No, it's a special show. We're probably going to do more singing.
Okay,
Are those
all right.
shots?
They are.
Oh, my God. We
I
never
wasn't gonna
let
drink,
Drew
but you
drink
started
alcohol
singing. You started
during the podcast. So he's especially excited to be here tonight. All right, guys. Well, I think I'll just kind of get with the upcoming guest messages. This week, episode number 105, we have comedian Joe Perot. Bring him live here. Not a call-in. Episode 26, February 26, episode 106. We're going to have comedian from Reductress and College Humor, Samantha Ruddy. Woo! Right. Then in March, episode 107, we'll have Allie Amrine out of Austin. And episode 108 from The Tonight Show, Andy Woodhull. So it's going to be a cool full few weeks coming up, guys.
Freaking amazing.
Freaking amazing. Exactly. All right, folks. Well, we're gonna get started.
Do you know what a crossroads demon is?
Do I know what a crossroads? As a matter of fact, I do know what a crossroads demon is. Do you know
haven't,
why? Do you know why?
Why?
Because as a way to keep us in love, my husband has been watching Supernatural reruns for 3 or 4 years. And we decided that we would start watching it from the beginning together. So now we're well into season 3, so I do know what a Crossroads
Right.
Demon
So
is.
in order to get this level of talent, which frankly
Right.
is much higher than our level of talent,
Oh,
what,
yes.
what did you do?
But,
How
just
many
wishes.
years? How many years do you get?
I got 2 years. We got 2 years of the podcast, and I have to go down to hell
Okay.
giving my soul
All
for
right.
these guests. All
Then Drew
right?
and I will do it after that.
Okay, well, fine. Well,
No,
it'll be a
no, we
different.
won't.
My fantasy friend who is just a friend. All right, guys. So, folks, we're going to do a part of the podcast that we call fact checking. And this is the part of the podcast where we correct the mistakes we made last week to make room for the mistakes we're going to make this week. Typically, we have our ombudsman, Wills Maxwell, do this for us. Unfortunately, he was unable to be here today.
Drunk?
No, he's not drunk. You can't say that.
I actually seen him last night. He got very drunk.
No,
last
he
night.
did. No, this
Yes.
is slanderous.
It's not slanderous if it's true. What are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I hate to tell you, but
I mean, I don't know
he
his-
was drunk.
Oh, God, guys.
Well,
really?
no, hold on. Maybe he wasn't drunk. I don't know his limit. But
Well, it's
he was staggering around and pissing himself.
Oh,
but
my
I mean,
God.
to some people, that's not drunk.
You know what's going to be the worst part of this? That next week he's going to have to fact check
Well,
this
it'll-
episode.
It'll be easy
about
for him to
that.
fact check that.
He's gonna.
See if
I
there's
know.
a urine stain on his jeans.
Okay. Well, that doesn't mean he was drunk. Maybe he has some urinary
Just got
tract
bladder
infection or something. I don't know his life.
Can guys get
That's not
that?
slanderous? Okay.
Is that a?
Can guys get urinary tract infections?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes, I've
Guess
had
who's
one.
fact checking that next week, Mr.
I've
Wills
had one.
Maxwell?
We can
You've
settle
had
that
one
now.
before,
You've
Gary?
had one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just leave that there.
Well,
let's
no.
just.
I want to hear
Replaced
about it.
catheter. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Oh my God.
Okay. Hey, guys, fact checking is part of the podcast where we correct the mistakes we made. Oh, we said that
Yeah, you
part.
got.
I just have one more question. Were you awake when they put in the catheter and when they
No.
took it out?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, when they took it out, yeah.
Yeah,
When
you
they
wake
put it
up,
in, no.
right? Yeah.
Even if you
I had a guy one time. I worked in the healthcare field. I had a
You
guy.
say you had a guy one time?
I had a guy one time.
Bragger.
And, it was when I worked at the hospital, and I worked in the telemetry department, so I put the heart monitors on everybody, and he kept pulling them off, like he was just delusional. He was out of it, and I went in and we kept playing the games where he would just pull them off and hand them to me, and I'd have to put it right back on. I'd be like, dude, stop. And one time I went in, it was like 3:00 in the morning, expecting to go through the same thing, like just put your stickers on your chest, man.
And he was dead.
And he handed me his catheter. He ripped his
Wow.
catheter out. I was like, here
Wow.
you
I
go.
thought you were going to say he was dead.
Well, later on, yes.
Yeah. Wow. You know, I think taking out the catheter, even if you weren't awake at the beginning part, you're awake at the
Yeah.
end.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so. All right, guys. So I went through and listened to the episode, last week's episode with Ahmed Barucha, who is wonderful. And here's a couple of things I found. We were discussing Creed, the movie Creed.
Not the band.
Not the band. And it came up. The question was, I think, from Drew, where was Adrian? You know, Rocky Balboa's wife. And we were sadly had to tell him that she had died, and we weren't sure where along the Rocky. Thank you, Mr. Bishop. We weren't sure where along the road of Rocky movies she had died, so I looked that up, and it was between Rocky V and Rocky Balboa, which was sort of Rocky VI. So she kind of died off screen. But sadly, she died very specifically on January 11th, 2002, at the age of 51 from ovarian cancer.
Is that real? In
Oh.
real
So
life?
it wasn't in any of the movies, but all that information was available.
Oh, so is she dead in real life?
No,
So let me ask,
that's Talia Shire. She's a.
let me ask you this: if our show was Rocky, I feel like I would be Rocky, and I think you would be Adrian, and I feel like Lewis would be Mr. T.
I thought he'd be-
shouting obscenities at you and making suggestive remarks while I get to goad me into fighting him.
Right.
And Drew, I think, is the old trainer.
Well, who's
You're a
Paulie?
bum, Rocky.
I thought you were going to say that Mr. Bishop was Paulie, his good friend.
Oh, yeah?
Because I have a gambling problem. Is
And
that
he
what
has a
you're saying?
gambling problem. I mean, put the pieces together. Jesus.
Hey, I bought your kid this robot.
Yeah, right. That's a totally good use of your money. So then it's My Fantasy Widow is the podcast then.
That's pretty bad that the Adrian character wasn't even good enough to be in the movies dying. You
Well,
know?
I think maybe the actress was good enough to choose to not be in those movies is more the way I look at it.
Well, is that saying something about her acting skills, though? Maybe she's not good enough to die, you know? Like, maybe she's not good to, like, play the dying... No?
Nah,
Okay.
He
I
could have
think
at least had a hospital scene.
I
Right.
think I think in life she had dignity, and that's why she passed on that opportunity.
Actors have no dignity.
Well, all right.
Odd that we're talking about her then.
Yes. Okay. So we also next fact check, guys. We were discussing how to make the NHL more exciting for U.S. fans, and the question of when did Fox use that red dot that used to go around the ice?
Did we nix the idea of just disbanding it?
No, we are not. Well, yeah, that was we were.
that
I'm
what
just
do it for
going
me?
for the part that we're fact checking here. All right, we're just God, Jesus Christ, so early. There are people here this time. Okay, so we're Fox Tracks is what they called it, and the glow puck was used from 1996 to 1998, and then they got rid of it because everyone hated it. So there's that one.
It made the game even harder to follow.
Yeah, it somehow made it like way less enjoyable for everyone. And then during this discussion, Mr. Bishop brought up the cartoon Pro Stars, and I didn't know what that was, and I looked it up, and it's delightful. Turns out it was from the fall of 1991. It was originally intended for ESPN, and it would start in live action, but then would have a cartoon Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, and Wayne Gretzky out there fighting crime and helping children, and also protecting the environment. Is that how you remember it, Mr. Bishop?
Yeah, pretty much all points covered there.
Do you remember? Do you guys remember it?
I've never seen or heard
It
of
was
in my life,
only
and I,
on-
in fact, think you're making it up.
No,
It's
it
just
was
one
on-
season. They just had one
not
season.
even a season. It was on for about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it, anybody out there in the audience remember the cartoon Pro Stars? Nobody. Yeah. It didn't. That was some big star power, but it didn't last long. And then finally, we got for our last fact check here again, hockey related. We were playing the game from last episode of quotes from hockey movies, and we had a quote from the movie Love Guru because apparently there's hockey in that. And Ahmed said something like it was so terrible that it ended Mike Myers' career. Oh no, Joe Perot actually said that before the show, and essentially it turns out
Say that we can disregard it.
no, but I looked up on Internet Movie Database, and it turns out that is essentially true. That he did have Mike Myers had a very small role in Inglourious Bastards, which is a bit of a departure from his other work. That came out the year after Love Guru, but after that, it's been since 2008. It's been nothing but that cartoon, the Shrek, the cartoon versions of
What did he
Shrek.
play in Inglorious? Did he play the baseball bat that the bear used to beat that lieutenant?
No,
to death?
you know what? I didn't write it down here, but
No,
I
he
will-
was the
French general.
no, he was an English general that they basically come up with like the plan to.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember him.
He's wearing like heavy makeup. You wouldn't know it was him until
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Like in Studio 54 when he played that role.
Yep.
So it basically did end his movie career. But I did also see that allegedly they're going to make an Austin Powers 4. So
They need to not do that.
that would probably be best if they didn't. All right, well that's pretty much it. That's the fact checking for this week.
Did you guys not like what was it Gold Member or whatever it was? Yeah.
I don't like the big Scottish character guy
Right.
in that.
You
It's
don't like Fat
upsetting.
Bastard?
I'm not a fan.
The only thing that was in good any of those was that scene where the forklift couldn't turn around in the.
That's hilarious. Yeah, the first one is fantastic. It's just, maybe didn't need to have more. Okay.
Hey, I have a request for Hot Topics.
Well, can we get the hot? This is a professional show today.
You're
all
reading
right?
ahead.
You're reading ahead. That doesn't help the team.
All right, well then you tell me what we're doing next.
Hey, Mr. Bishop, can we have that change music, Hot Topics music theme? There you go.
Wouldn't want to miss that.
Hey, Gary, it's time to talk about Hot Topics.
well, I
it
think-
sounds amazing in the finished product,
Right.
guys.
I think we should skip everything and just talk about how the Cleveland Cavaliers point guard doesn't believe that the Earth is round.
All right, fair
Oh,
enough.
I'm sorry. What school did he go to?
Fair.
Ah.
Oh.
Hold
So
on,
wait,
hold on.
now-
Before I just want to clarify because I feel like you're going to need to know this going into this discussion.
Yeah.
I am a Tar Heel fan, like I rightfully so, and Gary is a Duke fan.
All right. So it's
we go.
important for our listeners
I
at
had to
home
do it.
to
We're in
know
Chapel Hill.
that the DSI Theater, home of the festival, is in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Right.
And Duke, while not far away in miles, very far away in the hearts of many of the people.
Very much.
here.
I slashed our own tires earlier just to save them.
Just to get it. Well, that
Yeah,
was good. I
good,
like
good.
it. It's an
I was gonna
economy
do
of
it
time.
between shows anyway.
Yeah, that way we can just call AAA as we leave. We don't have to
got
waste the
it.
time
Yeah,
going
yeah.
back and forth. All right, guys, here's hot topic
I
number.
have a question.
Can I please set this up? For the love of God, please let me set this up for the nice people here in the audience who don't have an outline. For the nice people at
Time
home
that you've spent
who
yelling at
don't
me, you
have
could
an
have
outline.
already set it up.
Okay, shh. So just
Welcome to my fantasy
look,
life, guys.
this is it. This is it. This is the premise of the entire show. Gary and I used to do this alone, much nicer with other people. Okay, so Kyrie
Let's
Irving.
have a show about ruining Gary's train of thought.
Okay.
The ratings would be huge.
Can we have a show about Gary ruining this outline?
Evan,
Okay.
no.
Just let me set it up for the
No.
people. Just let me set it up for the people. Hey, people. Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers believes the earth is flat. He brought it up in a podcast this past week, and the earth is flat, Irving said, urging people to do their research on the matter. The point guard blamed them, quote unquote, for lying to us, but did not clarify who they are.
Illuminati.
What is that?
The Illuminati, that's what
The Illuminati, yes.
The
And-
enlightened ones.
Right. I know you're a big fan of the Illuminati. I don't know if you believe the earth is flat. Do you, Mr. Bishop?
Gary, I'll let Gary.
Well, let's wait. I'll just say one more thing, and then Gary, it's your turn. What?
One more thing.
Question.
What it really came down to for me, Irving explains, was everything that was particularly thrown in front of me. I had to be like, okay, this is all a facade. This is all something that they ultimately want me to believe in that is true or whether or not or whatever.
Right.
Okay. So I think he sums it up pretty well.
See, the
Hey,
difference
Gary,
is,
what do you
the
think?
difference is Duke kicked him out after a year because he's an idiot, where at Carolina... he was
No, get the fuck out.
Was that what you wanted to
Because he
say?
went to
No,
all
here's-
his classes that one year he was at
Right.
Duke.
Here's my question.
Yes.
How do you know? Honestly, how do you know?
I actually went ahead and
wanna
Googled
get
some
off of that.
science reasons.
No, but these are idiotic. You don't fall off the planet. Well, maybe you didn't walk. How do you know you've walked far enough? That's not a reason.
The Earth
You
is
can
only
never-
so big.
Hold on. I'm talking. Gary, are you
Are you
defending
sucking
him?
up to Mr. Bishop? Is that what this is about?
No.
Are you defending him on the world is flat?
I'm simply asking because Blair seems to have taken the opposite side, and I'm just curious how she knows.
And Gary can't
I
stand to
believe
let
the
an
Earth
argument
is, I
go.
believe the Earth is round. I believe it's round, but I don't know.
Here are some reasons, because I knew this would come up. Here's some reasons that I Googled
How did-
that are not based on like photos from outer
How did you
space
know this would
because
come up?
just a
saying
feeling.
I'm arguing.
And
I
who runs
just-
Google?
Just
The
a feeling,
Illuminati.
right? Well, okay. So I didn't want to base this
Right,
on
right.
on
Who
Exactly.
owns the Google?
I did not
the
want to
CIA?
base this. Right. I didn't want to base this on any photos from outer space because people think that the moon landing was fake. So I took that out of the equation entirely. So, for example, you don't always see in the same constellation.
I noticed you skipped the first one.
I'll get to that, but you hit up your friend in Australia. Ask him what constellations they see at night. Now tell them which ones pepper your patch of darkness. They won't be the same.
Let me.
Here's
let
the
me,
first
let
one.
me ask you a question. How many friends do you have in Australia?
I got a couple. I went to Australia once.
I,
I could find
I went
some.
to Australia.
Have you
once.
ever ate a Vegemite sandwich?
you
It
went,
was not good.
You went all the way to Australia, but you didn't manage to fall off the end of the Earth in that 20,000-mile trip, did you?
Right, because the
'Cause
Earth
it
is
doesn't.
round. If it's flat, you can fall
Well,
off.
that's what I'm saying.
You
But how do you know you didn't come
Are
to
you
an
saying there are
edge?
parts of the world that have not been accounted for?
We don't know. By you and me, yes.
You know what?
What?
Too much supernatural for
right,
you.
go ahead.
Too much supernatural.
So-
you don't. Here's the other thing. What I wrote here is you don't fall off the planet. You know, if you got to the
Unless you
edge,
go a little
there
further.
would be an edge. Unless you're saying that in all our explorations, nobody has gone quite far enough. Is
No,
that-
but if this were true, clearly there's some kind of plot afoot, and they simply haven't told you. Someone did fall off. That's how they theoretically knew it was flat.
Okay. And then the third reason,
And if they fell off-
apparently, I'm sorry, Mr.
If they
Bishop,
fell off, how would you know?
Right?
maybe they went with a team of people and one of them stayed a few feet back.
Nope.
No, just no.
A few feet back of what?
The dude who's in front,
The
who's
ocean?
willing to sacrifice himself to fall off the edge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Say the ocean.
Wow. I'm fighting an
Fall off the face
uphill
of the
battle
earth, you
here
just fall in
today.
the ocean.
And here's the final, and there are many reasons why we know it's not flat. I only
You haven't
picked.
named one.
Okay, some people might disagree with you. I thought 3 might be excessive. I don't need 3 examples of why we know it's not flat, do I? But apparently I needed way more, so I'm underprepared. But here's the last one. Same objects make different shadows. If the earth were flat, you could drive 2 sticks into the ground at any place on earth, and the shadows on those sticks would be the same length.
I'm 51 years old. I've never seen that.
What do you...
I just don't think you know.
Well, we haven't... You know what? We're going to try it this week.
All right.
We're going to do a little fact-checking.
All right.
We're going to drive some... Wow, I didn't really think this would be the most controversial part of the show.
Well, no, it's just fascinating that an NBA All-Star who flew probably from the 35,000 feet up that he was in the plane that he used to fly to the All-Star game, he could actually see the curvature of the earth.
Well, that's why I find this banter so surprising.
Sleeping.
Maybe he
You
slept.
know when the sun is just setting, it shines right in the plane window in your eyes. You put the thing down.
Right, maybe that's what it is. He put the thing down every time. Yep. Or is an optical illusion. Do you think the earth is flat, Mr. Bishop?
I'm just saying I don't know everything. You know?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
I'm always learning.
Fair,
you know?
you know what? Fair enough.
I don't let the man spoon feed me.
Okay.
I find the information.
Right. I understand.
Like the documentary X-Files said, the
Well,
truth is out there.
Well,
Googling cheap and easy if you want to get
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the funniest part of this was we were listening to some ESPN show on the way up here today, and the 2 sportscasters on that radio show, the one guy's, look, I don't know, when these guys were starting to study this stuff, like Aristotle, 300 or 400 years ago. So, apparently...
Aristotle famous for his flat earth theory.
Yeah, Aristotle famous for that 300 or 400 years ago. Yeah, so, whew. So apparently I am living in a bubble that is even more narrow than I thought it was. All right, can we have a little change of topic music, Mr. Bishop?
Yeah, sure. Hold on 1 second. One.
Do, 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 do.
I was Googling.
Do, do. All right, guys. So college basketball, guys, let's go at it. We're in like the heart of college basketball insanity country here. How's everybody looking?
Duke won again.
Well, I know, but what are we thinking? Who's getting seated high? Who's getting seated low? We're getting close to March here.
Well, I watched it for a minute yesterday. It seems like Gonzaga is the number 1 team in America.
But who have they played? Who has Gonzaga had to play?
Who's that? I don't understand. You got these guys, and they come in, they play for 1 year, and then they go to the NBA, and they're not ready yet. How do you know who's any good?
Right. It's all sheer who puts it together at the right time.
Right, but they're all freshmen where the real talent is. They're going to be better at the end of the year than they are now. There's no way to know.
Right.
So I'm done with college basketball.
Wow, okay, that was
did
quick.
Did you watch the Kansas-Baylor game, though?
I heard there was some sort of showdown in the Big 12.
That was a really good game. They were 3 and 4 ranked, respectively.
Could you
Took
name
a
a
last
player
minute
on
shot.
Baylor?
No, I
Yeah,
can't.
I
I can
couldn't
name
either.
like
They're 4th
2
ranked
on
in the nation.
Kansas, and that's about it.
I feel like 30 years ago I knew 3 players on every team, and I don't think I watch it anymore than I
Well,
do
they
now.
cycle
The
through them
star
so
power is
fast.
very low.
They
Yeah.
cycle. There's nobody staying 3-4 years anymore.
Right. That's true.
Do you guys wish that the old rules were in place and that
I
they
just
had
wish
to
they'd
finish
get-
college?
No, I just wish that if they want to go straight from high school to NBA, let them.
Oh, like don't even bother with the year in
yeah,
college.
Yeah, you end up messing up programs. Like, I mean, you get a Virginia Tech, like a school that's on the down. They get one good player 1 year, and they have some kind of a good season, and then he's gone. And now they got to wait for another one-and-done player to come in.
So how long should they stay?
No, there shouldn't be a restriction. They should if they want to come 1 year and play, that's fine.
I think that Drew's saying, Mr. Bishop, is that if they didn't even have to do the 1 year, a lot of these guys would just go straight to the pros out of high school.
And they would be a bust, and then they'd learn their lesson, and people would stay in college a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd come in, they go 1 year, they go to the NBA, they fail out, and they literally fall off the face of the earth.
What happened?
Ask Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a flat Earth callback joke, wasn't
Right,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Kwame
So
Brown
that's,
is a great example because I happen to know a little about him. I was in D.C. They ran a big article on him in the middle of his freshman year and rookie year in the NBA, and the guy went to his apartment and found these piles and piles of clothing. It turned out that 18-year-old Kwame Brown didn't know how to do laundry, so he simply
Just
bought
buy
new
new
clothes each
clothes.
week.
Right.
And was eating only Bojangles chicken. There were
All right,
boxes
well-
and boxes and boxes of Bojangles chicken.
Well, I
Let
mean,
me
you
ask
can't-
you
you
this.
can't blame him
Let
for
me
all
ask
of
you
it.
this, you guys this. If you could only eat one fast food, if you're Kwame Brown, what's it going to be? Is it Bojangles chicken or is it something else?
I'd probably go Bojangles.
You think Bojangles? What about you, Gary?
I'm
One chain fast food.
Ooh, or Taco Bell.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm kind of a Taco Bell man.
Really?
I think
I'm
I'd get
surprised
tired
you
of
didn't
Taco
go
Bell,
chicken.
I like-
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know.
What's the one you like, Popeye?
Bishop, what do you eat? One
What
fast
you got?
food.
What? Oh, it's
though.
Burger
It's
King.
Burger King every time.
Yeah, it's Burger King.
Yeah, yeah,
Burger King. You get breakfast, lunch, dinner.
yeah.
You get
Snacks.
chicken.
Somewhere a Burger King
Weird-
executive just went whoosh.
Yeah, weird hors d'oeuvres.
Right.
They've got everything.
You get all
there.
kinds of stuff.
Everything
Burger King's
there.
the best. You get tacos at Burger King
Right.
for a limited time.
Liver.
You
Yeah,
can get,
nobody-
hot dogs.
Yeah, nobody
I used to
asked.
do that, like not with clothes, but with underwear and socks. When I had enough money, I would just not. I didn't want to do my laundry, so I would just buy new socks and underwear like every 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. And how long did this last till?
I did it for like 9 months to a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you're like 9 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say 9 years too. It's like, well, I got married a couple years ago,
Yeah.
so
I had
until
to
then.
stop that.
Yeah, until then. Nobody asked me, but I'm thinking maybe Wendy's. Okay.
Wendy's?
Yeah.
I do like
She
Wendy's.
just likes it because Dave named it after his daughter.
No, that's not it. I like the burgers. I like the Frosty. I like that they get. I think they're going to bring that salad bar back one day. It's all gonna. I have fond memories of that.
The salad bar.
Yeah, where you can make those bad nachos.
Does Golden Corral count? I think I would
No,
take
that's
it.
not fast food.
I don't think that's fast food.
She said fast food.
Fast
It's
food.
fast.
Yeah,
You get in
Ruth
and
Chris.
go.
No, not food that's fast. Fast food.
Outback? Does Outback count?
Phew. Okay.
Can
Could
we
we?
harass Joe Perot yet?
Not just yet. Can we have a little change of? Thank you. A little palate cleanser is
Right.
always nice. Do you guys? I'm just throwing this out there. Do you guys know that Charles Oakley, who's been having a lot of problems with James Dolan, the Knicks owner, is going to be part of a 3-on-3 league that's founded by Ice Cube? What is? Do you guys know about this, or am I breaking
Yes.
news for you?
This
Okay.
is the first I've heard of it.
What?
I heard him talk to Ice Cube about it, yes.
What's is this going to be former players in this 3-on-3
Yes.
league or
They had signed Allen Iverson.
Oh, wow.
and a couple other.
Rick Barry. Rick Barry's going to play.
Rick Barry's like 90.
so when does this play in the summer? And it's just like it sounds like sort of a little bit of like Battle of the Network
Oh,
stars.
he's
They're
coaching.
still working out the
He's
details,
coaching.
I think.
All right, so you guys don't care. That's what you're saying. Okay.
It's called
Somebody
Big
was
Three.
talking today about doing a slam dunk competition that brought back like all the old guys, like Dominique Wilkins,
Right.
and you just they were going to lower the basket to 9 feet so that the guys could still dunk. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Maybe they could get them a little step stool,
Maybe.
like a little, like a little helper.
Or
Oh, I
maybe
would
they
love
could take
that.
some of their NBA, the ones who aren't broke now, the
Charles
10%
Oakley's
that
actually
aren't
going to
broke.
play.
They could hire substitute jumpers.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Is that real? Oh no, you made that up. Oh, I see. Go ahead, Drew. What did you say?
Charles Oakley's not going to just coach. He's going to be a player coach.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is Allen Iverson. He's
Oh,
going to be a player
really?
coach.
Good God.
Yes,
So
if
that
the other
makes me-
team is threatening to win, he's going to cut a hamstring with his pocket knife.
Now,
So far, we got Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups, Rashard Lewis, Steven Jackson, and Kenyon Martin.
wow. If you guys could have
Kenyon Martin's broken leg healed yet from the NCAA tournament his senior year?
Yeah, he's still got the lips on his neck that makes everything feel okay.
now, if you guys could bring back one living player from the decades of basketball that you've watched to play in this league, who would it be?
Dan Dockich.
I feel like that's purposely obscure.
No,
What
he
is?
could Michael Jordan the night Indiana beat them in the tournament. So it's a big deal.
Okay, was that your real answer, or
No.
would you like to give a real answer?
What's the question?
Would you, if you could pick any player, retired player from basketball who's living still, who would you have play in this league?
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson.
That's my boy.
What about you, Drew?
White chocolate, Jason Williams.
Jason Williams?
that's your boy.
Now, why do you pick Magic Johnson? Just because he's the greatest.
Because he's got a big grin.
Okay. What about you, Drew?
The celebrity game. Jason still got it.
Okay.
He did the elbow pass and everything.
Mr. Bishop, do you have any
yeah,
basketball player retired who you'd put in the 3-on-3 league?
I would bring back Lynn Bias from the grave.
I
I don't think
see.
they can be dead.
That's why I
his
specifically
agility
said
is going to be hindered by the by
nobody
death.
listens.
Would he
I
still have a drug problem or no?
He didn't have a drug
Jeez.
problem. It was an allergy.
Oh, he didn't have a drug problem? Okay.
All right. If you say so. Slanderous.
Yeah, I was thinking living, a
Oh.
living player.
Let's say.
You want to think about it?
We'll say. David Robinson.
David
yeah.
Robinson. All right.
Yeah, he got a nice mustache.
Okay.
Looks good.
All right. You like a veteran? He's a veteran?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. He was in the Navy.
Now I can think of it as that song, the Village People
In the
song.
Navy?
Yeah.
Don't sing it, please.
Boom, 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 boom. We want you as a new recruit. All right. All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna.
How can we torment you?
Yeah, can we have a little change music before we get in? All right, guys. Well, we're going to get into our celebrity guest portion of our show. Everyone, well, we're going to do this a little differently. Why don't we bring up to the stage our friend, comedian Mr. Joe Perot. Everyone give him a big round of applause. All right. Hey, Joe, as I usually, we have our guests as call-in, and so I usually say something like this. Hey, Joe, you're on the phone with My Fantasy Wife podcast. This is Blair Postman. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Blair?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderfully. We do that on our show normally so that people know that we are recording them already, and they should be careful what they say.
Joe Perot's a lot better
you
looking
guys are
than
rec-
I imagined him to be.
Well,
You guys are recording this?
we are
This is people are going to listen.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we are recording it. The people listening part is kind of up. We just leave that up to fate a little bit. So, guys, before we get started,
Did you remember when I asked you what he looked like, and you're like, eh?
I think it was more of a meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Jewish part of me. It's like meh.
I
But
don't-
I
I
think
don't
I
know,
said
man.
he
He's
looked
pretty
like the.
What the fuck?
I think I said he looked like one of the villains, like the bully guys from an old John Hughes movie, like Pretty in Pink. I think like a James Spader, like a young James Spader.
I thought you said he looked like the mother in
No.
what's that movie where the
No. Now you're trying to get me into trouble, and I'm not going to let it
movie
happen.
where the woman was stabbed in the shower. That movie.
Hey
We had
guys.
that conversation before the show. You're telling me you were just running a bit about that you
No,
already
but
ran
I
by
remembered
Garrett.
it,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
All
that
right.
actually is quite apt. Guys, let's do a little introduction of Joe for our listeners and our audience. Joe Perot is a stand-up comedian from Raleigh. To everyone's surprise, Joe won North Carolina's Funniest Person at Goodnight's Comedy Club back in 2015. Then he won the Ultimate Comic Challenge in January this year. Other comedy accomplishments include eating lunch with Rory Scovel, smoking cigars with Robert Kelly, and yelling at Todd Glass for starting a fire. Joe was the co-creator of the short-lived podcast Brent and Joe's Game of Thrones and Gas Station Wine Review, and is now lead contributor on the My Fantasy Wife podcast. His likes include music, hanging with friends, movies, and traveling. Dislikes include Westworld, writing comedy bios, and seriously, Westworld was terrible.
Let me. Two
Wait
comments.
for it.
All right.
Wait.
All right.
And also, it's Joe's birthday, everybody. Big round of applause for Joe Perot.
Yeah, I like to point out two things. First of all, we've done 105 of these, and every other one you've ever written was so over the top, like respectful and ass-kissy.
Joe wrote this.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my actual comedy bio that
Yeah,
I
before
personally
everyone
wrote.
thinks I'm totally an even bigger jerk than you suspected, this is the official bio I was given to use.
Don't you think it's weird that on Joe's bio it says, and also, by the way, it's Joe's birthday? Like every
no,
day.
I added the birthday.
Can't
Every
be his
day. I'm a
birthday.
very happy guy, Lewis.
And by the way, I always thought Joe looked like a less talented Tim Roth.
Oh,
That's who I thought he looked like.
ooh, ouch. Okay, glad he
Oh,
didn't.
one other thing I'd like to point out that you pronounced every word of that perfectly, except you screwed up the name of the podcast. So,
I said My Fantasy Wife podcast.
sort of with some.
Well, I got nervous because you were trying to interrupt me, and I was like, what's he going to do now?
All right.
But everybody, it is Joe Perot's birthday. And before we get started, because I used to be super into horoscopes when I was a little kid. And you know that they always do those, if your birthday is today, kind of horoscopes. So I looked one of those up. We won't go through all of it. But if you celebrate your birthday on February 19th, it says ahead of you is a year in which, thanks to the help or protection of a man, you can achieve important success. You'll be given a chance which could change your cardinal fate. It will be a favorable year for conception or birth of a child and other important actions related to the child or grandchild. During this year, there will occur at least one new professional opportunity, but it will require change or new skills, knowledge, things for which you might find yourself unprepared. Anyway, be ambitious, take appropriate risks.
And
the
move
year,
and have a kid.
right?
That's what they're saying to you.
The year can be remembered with an important asset, gift, or by obtaining property by a woman, probably a relative. That's it. Happy birthday, Joe.
Did you get that out of a Cosmopolitan?
It was a Google thing. I don't know.
And is that my horoscope every year that my birthday
That's
happens,
no,
or
that's
that was
for-
like specifically for
That's
2017?
for 2017. There's more that says you are logical, constant, unaltered, practical, artistic, and a worldly person. You want to hear that stuff?
I mean, it sounds good so
You
far,
must
so I'm
be
just going to
independent
trust the rest.
and not obey limitations. You can achieve much or really go on your own actions or feelings.
All right.
So there's a lot of good stuff there. It's exciting to hear you're going to have a kid, so congratulations.
Yes, was all those risks you were taking.
Right, exactly.
Well, probably
right.
not me because I'm actually sterile, so
Right.
probably not going to happen.
But this is exciting.
Congratulations on that.
Girl, read
Daryl,
mine
I thought it was
next.
just your sense of humor.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Now, it is exciting. Gary has not met you in person before, so it's fun for us to have you live and in person.
Right, so these insults are basically just being delivered to a stranger for no reason.
Right, exactly. No, now
Right.
it's personal.
Okay.
So guys,
You, however, must like him because you're allowing him to take massive liberties on what we know. Look at this first question.
no, would
Who's
you
ever been allowed to do that? Ever?
No, just hold on. God, no one can cite gags. Don't work on the podcast.
Right.
Okay, so guys, what we normally do on the podcast is when we have our guest on, when we're doing a little show prep, we ask them about the sports or sports-related things that they're interested in. And so we have some questions about that, and then we play a game with them that we make up based on those interests.
Yeah, normally they don't suck. Like the last guy shot
All right.
flaming arrows.
Hold on.
That was cool.
That was
You know
a-
what? I'm also a contributor to this podcast.
Yeah, he is.
So, like, while less famous than most guests, I'm a regular one of the six.
Yeah,
It's
he
okay.
does work.
He's
He
one of
does
us,
help
right?
me. So because of that, and because it's your birthday, we're going to indulge you and let you tell us for just a little bit why you think soccer is interesting. So that's one of your big interests. It's international soccer or football. And so what's the great stuff happening in soccer right now?
Ooh. I find
Stumped ya.
I watch soccer because it's on in the morning, so I can watch it, get my sports in. It's not 5 hours long like an NFL game. I also can watch without the fear that someone's going to later shoot themselves in the heart or murder their wife
Oh.
as a part of being in that sport.
Wow,
And,
okay. Okay.
No, soccer's great. If you don't watch it, there's less goals, so it's not like basketball where they just score every time down.
Right.
The points make more sense than football. I still like other sports. I just like soccer better.
I see. And did you play soccer as a youth?
I did. I played until I was about 12
You
before
played
I
till
quit.
you were about 12. So you weren't that good, but you liked it.
I was good, but I was like, you know what? Golf is the ticket.
Golf. Well, we're gonna get to that.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah. So we are. And who do you root for in the soccer matches around the world?
Well,
these
as
days?
everyone can see listening to the podcast, I'm
Again,
wearing,
sight gags
oh,
don't
really?
work
That
on the
doesn't work?
podcast,
I'm
but
wearing
go
my official home Manchester City Sky Blue kit.
Okay.
So that's my team, Manchester City, not Manchester United, as most people who don't watch soccer get the two confused.
Thank God I didn't wear mine. We would have looked like jackass.
Hey, right. It will look like you planned it. So
Why do they call them kits? I've always wondered that.
Why do we call them jerseys?
okay.
Well played.
So Drew, aren't you a Manchester United fan?
I mean, I wouldn't say fan.
I mean, because he kind of just
I
insulted
liked
them.
I liked Rooney for a while, so I pulled for.
Here's my guess.
Man U.
Drew used to play FIFA at a younger age, and Manchester United was the best team in FIFA.
Yep.
And so
Nailed
that's what we
it.
really like. That's anytime you ask somebody who they're a fan of in soccer, it's because that's the team they like to play
Boom.
on,
Yeah,
play
got
as
it.
in the video game.
Well,
got it.
I will say this. After a little over 2 years of doing this podcast, I don't know a lot about sports, but I have picked up that there are a lot of video game related influences in this more than I would have suspected. All right, spot on. And is there anything else before we quickly leave this that you would like to talk about related to soccer?
Well, I just thought for the sake of the listeners, as I've tried to get soccer on this podcast
Yes.
for months.
We did do a soccer-related game and talked about it with Rory Scovel.
Yeah, that's true.
Back in July, but it's been a little while. So yeah.
I thought about it. I was going to try to explain all of the competitions that go on, but then I realized that would take me an hour and a half, and it would just confuse everyone, and you guys would get super bored. And I don't want to, I don't want to take anybody.
You don't want to be that guy.
I think that's my biggest problem is all the leagues.
Okay,
I don't understand
all right.
the
Well,
leagues.
I mean, since you asked, I'll explain.
Right. Hey, thanks, Drew.
Hey, no, I'm generally curious.
So
about it.
European soccer, each country has their own league, and there's between either 18 or 20 teams in each league, and then there's also divisions down below that. And so they just play all season. There's no playoffs. You get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, no points for a tie. And then at the end of the season, at the end of 38 games, everybody plays a home and away against the other 19 teams. End of the season, whoever has the most points wins. But at the same time,
But there's no playoffs?
There's no playoffs in the leagues. Now, then there's also something called the Champions League where they take the best teams from each country and they put them into a larger tournament similar to the World Cup, and they play that throughout the season,
When does that happen?
What's that? The Champions League?
Champions thing.
So European soccer goes from August through May, and it all pretty much coincides. So
Well, I'm just saying, is there a fantasy league Gary can get in on that? I think that might turn
I
you
was just
into a
checking
fan.
to see if there was enough cord to make a noose from, but I don't think it's enough.
No, I think we're going to have to wait till
now,
after
not
the
only
show.
is there the Champions League, but there's also the FA Cup, which
Oh,
is all
well.
of the teams. It's about 400, 500 teams in England, and they get put into a bracket, and then they go through the bracket, and that plays throughout the year. And then not only is there that, but there's also the League Cup at the same time, and that's the top 4 divisions of English soccer. And they see it's very confusing, and
Wow.
I feel like I didn't help. I only confused people more.
Well, I think what I came away with is that Gary does dozens and dozens of fantasy leagues of various kinds every year. I think you need to do like a Champions League fantasy league thing. Game.
Without scoring, I'm not sure how.
Well,
there
I
could be
bet there's a way.
fantasy
I'm
soccer
just
league.
thinking it would be an interesting sociological experiment if you
okay.
went ahead and kind of went outside your comfort zone. It would be good for the podcast.
I'm in.
Here's how it works, Gary. You play fantasy football, so imagine it's just like fantasy football, except
Without
you
fun.
only get to pick defenses. So,
You
That's
only
great.
pick defenses?
well, you pick defenders, and then they get points for clean sheets, which is not giving up a goal. And then you have
That is the opposite of interesting.
yeah.
You only get
there
get
was a bit of
points
That
for
is the opposite.
So
of
in
Fantasy soccer is terrible.
Fantasy soccer means you get points for things not happening.
Well, then you also you have a goalie, you have defenders, you have midfielders, and you have forwards. And your
Okay,
forwards
you know
score
what?
goals, and they'll get you points. Now, if a defender scores a goal, it's worth more points.
Okay, that is so interesting. So Joe, we don't usually do a change of topic music in the guest thing, but when you
Join DraftKings while we do Fantasy League, Champion League, Fantasy Soccer League, where you get points where points don't get shot.
yeah, that's
DraftKings.com.
Yeah, there you go. So we also thank you. That was super enlightening, and I'm really going to push Gary to play a fantasy.
My bookie one time, I
fantasy
asked
soccer.
him if he took bets on soccer games, and he said no, he did not trust a sport where nobody would fall on a loose ball.
Okay, fair enough. You got it from. You have a bookie. Okay. Oh, look at that! The unexpected change of topic music during a guest set.
Right.
So, guys, Joe Perot, listeners.
Thanks for coming on, Joe. I
I'm so
appreciate
glad.
it.
I wish I could have been involved in Hot Topics. I wrote down some notes, but those
Yeah,
aren't important.
Joe
That's fine.
Perot, first of all, went to college, so congratulations. And he studied, I called it golf coursing, but his major was PGA golf management. That was your major.
Yes.
Correct me, but if Joe Perot kills all the Gophers, he's going to get in a lot of trouble.
Oh, well, hold on. Don't get ahead of things now. He did some golf coursing, and we don't have a ton of time, but how did you know, when did you know deep down inside that you wanted to be a golf turf manager?
Probably 16 or 17 when you make all the best decisions in life.
Oh, right, sure.
I quit soccer to play golf, and then I worked at golf courses from when I was 15. And I wanted to keep working at golf courses because it's really fun and easy. And then so I went to college for it.
Right?
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
Joe, when did you find out that you like nothing but boring sports? When did you find that out?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Mr. Bishop.
At a very early age,
Right.
I had trouble sleeping at night,
Right.
and as a baby, so my dad would stay up with me, and we would watch cricket matches
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
on
Yeah.
international channels in the middle of the night.
Wow.
No, not at all.
Cricket
Not at all.
channel.
I made that up.
Okay, but it was totally believable,
Yeah.
by
Right.
the way. And
Yeah.
you have a certain, shall we say, look.
Well,
And you're like, yes, this guy, audience, listening at home can't see you, but you're like, this guy totally went to college for golf course management. Absolutely.
Before you answer that, I'd just like to point out that you asked him at what age did he know deep inside that he wanted to cultivate being a golf course person, but what you actually wrote was, at what age did you
I
know
think
deep inside
golf-
that you wanted to cultivate being a jackass?
Well, that was just fun. That was just for us, but thanks for telling. So,
You know, a lot, we're saying some mean things. A lot of people like playing golf. It's a nice hobby. It's a sport. If you're competitive, you can play it until you die. You guys are being real assholes to the sport of
now
golf.
Do you drive from the woman's tees, or do you?
I was pretty good once upon a time.
Okay.
You look like a.
How rich are your parents? Is my question.
I mean, they sent you to a private school to study golf coursing.
Do you
so-
drive a golf cart on the road, like to work, or do you just drive it on the course? You ever seen those jackasses like in Myrtle Beach that drive on the golf course?
Well, I didn't live in a retirement community.
But it's a dream. It's
How do
a
you
dream.
feel being the first My Fantasy Wife guest to be roasted on your?
This
It
is
is
great.
a bit.
It's a first
We
for a
know
lot
him a
of
little
things.
too well. We know him a little too well. Do you know all the? You went to Campbell, is that right?
I did.
Do you know all the other schools that are accredited to have PGA golf management programs?
Why would you ask him that?
I don't know. It's just interesting. There's Clemson, Coastal Carolina. I'm
I
wondering
can
why
name-
you picked
I
Campbell.
can name.
Okay, all right.
I'm pretty
Why
confident
Campbell?
that I
Why
can
not?
Wait
you-
a minute. You're pretty confident.
I'm
you
pretty
can name all
confident
of
that
them?
I can name
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
most all of them.
I think
Okay.
I can do that.
All right, so you said Clemson, Coastal Carolina already. Mm-hmm. Methodist University, Campbell University, NC State University, Sam Houston State, Florida State, Florida Gulf Coast, Penn State,
So far, this is all correct so far.
New Mexico State, Arizona State. I believe Idaho State has
No
one.
Arizona State, by the way.
Arizona State doesn't have it. They have a golf management program. It's not accredited.
It's
by
not
the PGA.
accredited.
Yeah,
It's not accredited because they haven't done the work.
Central Colorado University, and University of Nebraska. I'll stop there because this
Yeah.
is
What about the
probably
University
super boring.
of Phoenix? You can take it by mail order.
Right, the University of Phoenix. Eastern Kentucky, Ferris State, Mississippi State,
Maryland Gulf Shores.
Eastern Shore.
Eastern Shore.
But we'll allow it. University.
I was a finance major. Would you like to hear all the schools that offer finance?
I feel like it's a larger number.
Hey, I'm just going with the flow of the
I
host
know.
here, Gary.
No, it's
you know.
good. But why did
nuts.
you pick? Why'd you pick Campbell? Did they have? Are they like the Harvard? I guess what I'm getting at is who's the Harvard of PGA golf management accredited colleges?
Well, they used to put on the brochures for Campbell that it was the Harvard of the Southeast, which, as we know anything about marketing, anytime anyone says anything one time, you can put it in quotation marks and use it. So somebody at some point must have said that.
Right.
I knew I wanted to move to the Southeast. It was so I wanted to come to North Carolina from Ohio. And then also the big thing was that the degrees, while they're in golf management, I wanted to do business. And so, like Penn State, for instance, is in parks and recreation or turf grass management, and that's a dog shit degree. If you
No, I'm sorry. Turf management is a dog shit degree.
Says the
Were you a
person
turf
with the
manager?
Turf management
Well,
degree.
I was never a turf manager. I just mean juxtaposed to PGA golf management.
right, so it's a concentration in PGA golf management, but I do have a BBA
Okay, fair enough.
as well as an MBA.
I know what a BBC
Okay.
is. You have a BBA.
Bachelor's in Business Administration.
Okay. Right. Now you
And
worked,
how rich are your parents? Is my question.
and so you have you worked at a couple. I looked them up. I won't go into all of their background, but incredibly exclusive, haughty, private. Did I say exclusive?
Snooty is the word you're looking for.
What's
Snooty.
that?
Snooty.
Snooty.
No, I think white is what she was. That was the word I was
White
looking for.
privilege.
Okay, one
Golf
was very
courses.
white.
You worked for the National Golf Links of America and Shoal Creek, which is in Alabama, and they still only have 2 black people who are members
Condoleezza
there.
Rice, woman and black.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have that in the notes.
She was admitted when I was there. I heard those conversations, and it was a lot of she kills 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's an upsetting thing. I was going to ask you.
She was the Secretary of State. She's a good person. Well, she checks 2 boxes for us. So
Yeah,
she's in.
and that's all that matters. Do you have a story you can tell us about your tenure at either of these places that would be, of interesting, but maybe amusing, maybe horrifying, maybe just fun. Maybe it was just fun there. I don't know. What was it like working at these places?
Alabama was pretty fun. It was interesting because that's the deep, deep South and the old South money. And so the guy who started Shoal Creek in Alabama, he was trying to model it off of Augusta National
Right.
in Georgia. And one of the things at Augusta for a long time was that it was only white members and only black caddies, and they had a very specific rule about that. And so he copied that at Shoal Creek. And so we had all of these black caddies from Birmingham, Alabama, who were all in their 50s. And if you do the math on, you guys don't have to do it, but they all grew up in the 50s and 60s in Birmingham, Alabama, which was not such a great place to be.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoyed sitting there. I'd go play golf with the caddies and learned a lot about what was going on there, but made some mistakes at times. That one time I was like, hey, you boys have a good evening. And they were like, boys, who the fuck is that honky calling boys? So it was interesting. Still, a
learning.
racist. Yeah. Don't
It's
say boys.
Well, no, I wasn't going to. But what made you quit? Seriously. And you were a pretty good golfer, right? I mean, yourself. So you thought this was going to be fun, and what made you, before we get into our game, what made you kind of decide that this was not the thing for
They
you?
paid him in
I mean,
racist-
that was pretty, I know that wasn't a big or hugely surprising story about working there, but that probably would have been enough reality to think maybe this isn't where I want to be, but I wonder what made you finally give it up.
Well, they were paying him in Confederate money.
Yeah, so that never worked.
Right.
So
well.
that was 2009 that I worked there. I was still in college, and I was there for 7 months. And then
Okay.
I went to National Golf Links, which is in Southampton, New York,
Yes.
on Long Island. And to be a golf pro like that, you spend 6 months in New York, and then you move to Florida for 6 months, and then you go back. And
I
so
gotcha.
you live in a dorm room on a twin bed. And I was like, I'm 24. I have 2 college degrees. What am I
I
doing?
want to be a comedian. Oh, wait a second. That sounds a lot
no.
like...
Much better
Well,
paying career.
what came next was quitting the golf industry and then being unemployed for a while and then being at a bar and there was a comedy show. And I was like, that seems like more fun.
Yes, it does. Good choice. Good choice. All right. Is there anything that, before we get into our game, is there anything really hilarious that I haven't thought to ask you about being a golf pro? Is there what's like a secret? I'll tell you a fun fact about Gary over here that's come
Sure.
up once or twice before. Gary's father, huge golfer, and Gary is named for Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus. His name is Gary Nicklaus, spelled Nicklaus, Hames, though I always wish they had named him instead Jack Player Hames, because that sounds like a 50s gangster.
I thought about switching it at the halfway point, going from Gary Nicklaus
It's
to
like,
Jack Player.
well, you guys had a good idea, but I'm smarter than you and I found a better way to do this.
what's
Okay.
your middle
Would've been
name,
the move.
Player? That's right.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, guys.
I can't top that. I can't top
No,
that. So.
I didn't think you could. So, folks, we got a few more minutes here. We started a little late. They said we could go a little late. So we've got a fun bracket. A lot of times we play brackets with our guests, and we base them somehow on their sports interests. And so we went ahead here and did a little bracket of the best quotes from Caddyshack. Are you guys familiar with the movie Caddyshack? Woo! All right. And I suspect that did you have to watch Caddyshack, Joe, in your studies?
Yeah, we had a semester-long course called Caddyshack 301.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that I don't know if that's a lie or just
I was lying about the cricket earlier, but the Caddyshack 301 is 100% true.
It was a full semester class.
It was a whole semester, so.
In that class, are you allowed under any circumstances to mention Caddyshack 2?
Oh, I hope not.
Caddyshack 302, not a lot of people took. That was an elective. Not a lot of people took that one.
Well, elective. All right, so we're going to go through. We're going to read off some quotes, and Joe, you're going to tell us which is the funnier or better quote. All right, and then at the end we'll have a winning quote, and we'll get to read other people's funny things that they say. All right, guys, I'm going to read the first one, and it's Ty says, "Don't be obsessed with your desires, Danny. The Zen philosopher Basho once wrote, 'A flute with no holes is not a flute. A donut with no holes is a Danish.' He was a funny guy." And then the read number 2, Gary.
Number 2, Al Zervik. "Oh, this is the worst-looking hat I ever saw. What, when you buy a hat like this, I bet you get a free bowl of soup, huh? But looks good on you, though."
Okay, now which of those is the funnier quote?
That's definitely the hat one.
The hat one? Oh,
And
yeah.
it's
No,
not
I
just
had
because
hats.
Gary sold it better than you did.
Wow.
But,
Well,
I mean,
I'm a
that's
little-
the free bowl of soup, the hat coming in. That's a.
Well, I'm working. You know, I'm trying to run a show here and keep us on time.
Honestly,
so
tell the truth. We can be at Dillard's, and you can be trying on a dress, and you'll come out and ask me what I think. And I said, "Oh, I don't know, but it looks good on you, though."
yeah, Gary. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. All right. For okay, the next there's 16, and then we'll get to the semifinals. Yeah, that's why I'm like, we got to get going on this.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I think we. Yeah,
I didn't
okay.
need the room for anything else tonight.
All right, wait, we don't have time. We don't have time. Okay, the next round, guys. Read number 3 for me there, Drew.
Of course, I get this one. Ty Webb, you take drugs, Danny? Danny, every day. Ty, good.
Okay, so that's one
Right.
quote. The next one is Spalding Smalls, and he says, "I want a hamburger, no a cheeseburger. I want a hot dog, I want a milkshake. I want a potato salad, Judge Smalls. You'll get nothing and like it." Which is the superior quote.
Wow, I am predicting that is the matchup of round 1 on 2 great lines, but I've got to go with the "you'll get nothing and like it."
All right, ding, 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 ding.
Well, drugs was my winner, so I'm out.
That's right. All right, guys, the next 2 quotes. I'll read number 5. "I want you to kill any..." Sandy says, "I want you to kill every gopher on the course." Carl says, "Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're going to lock me up and throw away the key." That's the first one. All right, go ahead, Gary. You do number 6.
Al Zervik, "Breaks wind at dinner." Whoa, did somebody step on a duck?
All right, kill every gopher or step on a duck. Who's the superior? Wow, you're taking this very seriously, I can
Yeah,
tell.
did I step on a duck? I'm going strictly with most quotable in my golf shop days of
Yeah.
every time somebody farted in the
Okay.
10 years, in the decade that I worked in golf.
All right, step on duck. All right, I hadn't taken that into account.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's interesting. You got to know your audience. All right, Gary, you read number 7
Number
there.
7, Al Zervik. "Hey, Wang, I hear this place is restricted, so don't tell him you're Jewish, okay?"
All right, number 8. Read that for me, Drew.
Carl Spackler, "This crowd has gone deadly silent. Cinderella story out of nowhere. Former greenskeeper, now about to become the master champion. It's in the hole."
I would think.
It's in the hole.
I feel like y'all should read these because you can do it.
All
I
right,
gotta
we'll
go. I gotta
do-
go with Carl Spackler at the Masters there.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, if I had thought about that, because you come from the greenskeeper world.
Well, because that's the second best line in the movie.
Okay, fair enough. I went with the other one because I don't know. I thought it was real.
All right, number
All
9.
right, number 9. Go ahead, Gary.
"Your place got a pool?" Ty Webb. "We have a pond in the back. We have a pool and a pond. Pond would be good for you."
That's right. Number 10, Judge Smalls. "Well, we're waiting."
Pool or pond?
Pool and pond. Ding, 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 ding.
All right, I'm 1 for 5.
All right, great. All right, Gary, you read number 11.
I'm not intentionally ruining your bracket, which I can see, Drew. But
My bracket's doing great.
I
Drew.
predict that.
Well, I'm
gonna
the
get
only one that
everyone
hasn't
right.
seen the movie. so-
Drew hasn't seen, which is like not an excuse. I can't believe you've not seen this movie. We only learned that a few minutes before the show.
All
Gary,
right, I'll do 11.
Okay.
I plan to go to law school after I graduated, but it looks like my folks won't have enough money to put me through college. Judge Smales. "Well, the world needs ditch diggers, too."
all right, excellent one. Number 12, Carl, licensed to kill gophers by the government of the United Nations. A man free to kill gophers at wills. At will. To kill, you must know your enemy. And in this case, my enemy is a varmint. And a varmint will never quit, ever. They're like Viet Cong, Varmint Cong. So you have to fall back on your superior intelligence and superior firepower. And that's all she wrote.
That's now because the world needs ditch diggers too is the greatest quote of any movie ever in the history of movies, and it's too true. But Varmint Kong.
Wow, Varmint Cong. Oh, that's ruining my brackets going up
Yeah,
in
you're wrong
smoke.
about
All right. That's woo.
Gary gets one wrong. He's like, yeah, you're wrong on that one.
Yeah. All right, guys.
You liked the ditch diggers?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a great.
I
That's
think
a great
it's
quote.
quote,
That's
too. But we're not allowed to influence
Much
you.
more concise.
Not allowed to influence
Anyway,
you. 13. Go ahead, Gary.
Ty Webb, I'm going to give you a little advice. There's a force in the universe that makes things happen, and all you have to do is get in touch with it. Stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball.
It's very zen. 14. Danny, who's trying to make small talk with Judge Smalls. I'm going to college too. Chuck Schick says, really? Are you going to Harvard? Danny says, no, St. Copious of Northern Trails Off.
what was Gary's line?
All you have to do is get in touch with it, stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball.
Be the ball.
Be the ball.
Be the ball.
Hey, I
Ding,
got
ding,
one.
ding,
Look
ding.
at that.
Hey, good for you. And this is the last of the initial round, guys. I
We
like
have
to do
4
the
more
most
rounds.
complicated brackets for the live show.
Next week, we're doing War and Peace.
Okay, wonderful. Gary, which one? I'll let you choose which one you want to
I
do.
don't care. I want to do 16.
Okay, I'll do 15.
Yep.
This is Danny. I haven't even told my father about the scholarship I didn't get. I'm going to end up working in a lumber yard for the rest of my life. Ty Webb, what's wrong with lumber? I own 2 lumber yards. Danny says, I notice you don't spend that much time there. So that's number 15. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah.
Bring us home.
Carl Spackler. So I jump ship in Hong Kong. I make my way over to Tibet, and I get on as a looper at a course over in the Himalayas. Angie D'Annunzio, a looper. Carl Spackler, a looper. You know, a caddy, a looper, a jock. So I tell him I'm a pro jock, and who do you think they give me? The Dalai Lama himself, 12th son of the Lama. Flowing robes, the grace, bald, striking. So I'm the first tee with him. I give him the driver. He hauls off and whacks one, big hitter, the Lama, long into a 10,000-foot crevasse right at the base of the glacier. Do you know what the Lama says? Gunga Galunga, Gunga, Gunga La Gunga. So he finished the 18th, and he's going to stiff me. And I say, hey, Lama, hey, how about a little something, for the effort, And he says, oh, well, there won't be any money. But when you die on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Gunga La Gunga. There's
Let me ask you this.
We got to the last one, and I thought, there's no way they did this whole bracket without the Dalai Lama and Gunga La Gunga.
Let me ask you this. Do we need to go through all
It's
this?
no, it's
Right,
Gunga La
okay,
Gunga.
everyone's
I don't
Gunga
know.
La
All right,
Gunga.
I don't know how you guys didn't include how do you measure yourself against other golfers by height. Where was that one?
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones.
So I'm going to say that. Are you saying the winner is total consciousness?
Yeah.
All right. Ding, ding, ding.
That's the
ding.
best. That's the best part of the movie. He's got the pitchfork to the kid's throat.
It's
We've all met.
Spoilers?
We've all met the drunk.
The movie is 37
The drunk
years old.
superintendent.
Blair actually did these. I would have included the night putting on the greens with the
Night
dog
putting,
rope
neck of the
tee.
neck,
Do
naked,
you know who that guy
nape of the
was?
neck.
It's limitless. Who's that guy?
Well, it wasn't him.
Okay. Well, no, it was his roommate, right?
Right.
But it's limitless. This is limitless. So I want to know, before we go, we got just a couple of minutes. I want to know.
We do?
We do have a couple of minutes. They say we can go to 7:15. I want to know if what you studied, what Caddyshack 301 was. As a class. Like,
that
what did
quote-
you do?
that's
How,
all
as a comedian, did you not figure out that this
Because
was
I
sarcasm?
asked you a real question. I'm not
But
a
this was-
comedian when
no,
I'm
it's-
here. I'm just a host. I
It
run
wasn't
the
a real.
show.
It wasn't a real course.
It's complicated. I asked you specifically, Joe. Is this a joke? Is this a joke like the other thing, or is it real? And you said the other thing was a joke, but that this was real, and I believed you.
And then I said
Joe.
that Caddyshack 2 was Caddyshack 302.
Joe, you think this is a fucking joke, Joe?
Do you think this is a joke,
Huh?
Joe?
Jesus, Joe.
Oh man.
Well, this has been
How rich are your parents?
right.
Listen, when in 2008 when the economy crashed and they were like down with the 1%, we were like, yeah,
That seems a little rash.
Come
I
on,
said,
we're all
Joe,
friends.
what is this class? And he said, it's a tire pressure gauge.
Oh, that's a callback to a joke of mine that we have not mentioned here on this
Right.
episode. Okay, guys.
Just for you.
Joe, You've
Blair.
been a wonderful guest.
Thank you for having me.
When is the next? Joe is also our Game of Thrones sort of dungeon master guy. When does Game of Thrones start up again?
I've heard rumors that June we're going to be back with a new season.
And do you have any quick
One
predictions?
left, right? One season.
Quick prediction: Jamie's going to kill Cersei.
You think?
I think that's the younger brother, even though they're twins. He was born second.
Yeah.
And I like that Jon Snow and Daenerys get together at the end, is what a lot of people think. But I think Jon Snow will die.
Oh, again?
Again?
He'll die.
Like
yeah, he
die
won't
for
come back.
real.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, folks. Well, that's going to be it for us on this very special episode of my Fantasy Wife podcast. Thanks to our contributors, Joe Perot and Wills Maxwell. To download our episodes every week, subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you, Mr. Bishop, for taking us out with the jazz trumpet stylings of Mr. Al Hurt.
You guys, give it up one more time for Blair, Gary, Drew, Joe, and Bishop in the back. Just a couple things before you go. Tune in or check into ntcomedyarts.com.